And thank you, Rain. And thank you for other people who make this wonderful conference and my keynote speech here possible, actual, virtual, necessary, or whatever. And as Professor Rain Loud introduced, I'm for some years working on this topic. This is my own philosophy. That's called we turn, or we turns, plural. So today I'm talking about that. And I prepared, as usual, maybe too many slides. So I skipped many of them and just concentrate on just the skeleton of that and giving some, a space for question and answer. So you can raise some questions about what I told and what I'm not told as well. So let me start. Okay, that content, but I don't know where we can reach. Anyway, start with we turn. That's a general overview of this project, philosophical project. And we turn, as Reinhard already explained to you, that is a shift of the subject of a unit of very important thing, such as first, our action, bodily somatic action, and self, and responsibilities, and rights, well-being, freedom, or many other important things. From I, individual I, to we. That is multi-agent system. I'll explain to you very soon. That includes I, right? So, for example, the we turn of doer, or subject of our somatic action, can be rephrased as from I do X to we do X. I will this kind of a universal claim. Every single action, like this my talking to you, is not I's action, that is we's actions. And that can be applied to the so-called mental activities such as thinking. So from I think, cogito, to we think, cogitamus, and many other things. And to self. So self, from self as I to self as we. And from my well-being to our well-being, my rights to our rights, and from my responsibility to our responsibility, to my freedom to other freedom, and so on and so forth. So that is putting together called philosophical system as a we turns, right? And so it's a philosophical system. It's a sort of argumentative strategies or a structure it has. From some basic assumptions via some basic inferences to some claims such as we turns. So the entire system is a philosophical argumentative structure. Okay. And this is one of the structure pictorial presentation. So there are some or many assumptions, and arrows represent some inference from those assumptions to draw some new claims. And based on that new claims, and by another inference, we can reach out to another claim. So that kind of a system I'm going to talk to you, just part of it today. So that is another further part. So many we turns life, we turns well-being, we turns freedom are delivered in this domino-like structure in turn. Okay. So anyway, so this is my we turn system, argumentative structure. And first we turns, and we will start from the first we turn, that is the we turn of a doer. Subject of our somatic action. So we turn system start with a theory of action, very special theory of action, to the realm of theory of values or axiologies. Because we are going to talk about rights, freedom, well-being, such a thing. That's the values. So we try to connect directly theory of action, very special version of it, to the theory of values. Okay, from action theory to axiology, right? That's the overall structure of this we term. And so it has many, many, many consequences. Very, some of them quite radically different from the standard ideas of many things. And here's just one example, one sample. This we term, and we has many members. And human beings, I, of course, included in that. Non-human animals, of course, included in that. Inanimate natural, objects such as rivers or airs, soils are included in that. And also some artifacts, computers, robots, AIs are also included in that. So we turn to such a diverse, membership. So it has some sort of consequence about relation between human and other non-human members of we. Okay, so and the basic idea of this we term's morality is egalitarian in principle. The equal rights, at least basic minimum rights, can be shared by all members of we, human or non-human animals or even artifacts. Okay, this kind of egalitarian character we system has. So it has a very great impact on the relation between human and non-human entities. For example, yes, and minimum rights. What kind of minimum rights? I call that anti-disposal right. Anti-disposal right. So let me explain that a bit more. So to explain that, so we should start with its opposite. That is disposal right. What is disposal right? I think that is implicitly endowed to you, me, human beings. That is, so I can dispose of my belongings, natural things or artifacts, my old clothes, my computers, without specific reasons. Think of your, garbage collection day. If we make mistake about garbage collection day, we are blamed. Okay, this is not today's. You should do that tomorrow. But we don't have to give some reasons to every garbage I'm going to give. Yeah, sometimes I'm blamed if I have a very important cultural stuff and try to throw it away. That's not good. If I throw it away something is quite anti-environmental, I'm very blamed. But otherwise, I'm not blamed. So in what way I'm going to throw my something, belongings, to the garbage? No justification is needed. So that is implicit rights we are given to, our human beings. And I think that's simply too much. That is simply too much, anthropocentrism. So my starting point, everything should be, upside down. So every member of the we, that includes my belonging, natural stuff, artifacts, whatever, should have, from the first set, anti-disposal right. That is not to be disposed without good reasons. What is a good reason? There are many good reasons. You can think of many good reasons. But anyway, in principle, everything, even artifacts, should have this anti-disposal right. That is a universal, not human rights. That is the universal rights of we, all members of we. So that is the one very important consequence of we term, and that should change our landscape. And so environmental issues, that kind of idea can be easily applied to every environmental thing. And in addition to that, that kind of idea can be applied to the artifacts, human-artifact relationship, human-robot relationship, and human-AI relationship. That is now a very hot topic in the many corners of the world. And human-robot, human-AI relationship should be built on this basic rights idea, anti-disposal rights. Okay. So that is one of the, well, two of the, some of the main consequences of we term, right? It has very, very practical, importance to the many parts of our today's life. But anyway, so let me start just first part of we term. That is we term of doer. That is also everything will start from that. Okay. Before that, East Asian background, I should talk about it. Because this is a Japanese Philosophical Association, I think I should mention that. And we turn the sort of a self-made philosophical system. It doesn't rely on any authorities, old name, giant's name, such as Nishida or Suzuki. But to be honest, I'm influenced by those big names, indeed. And some East Asian tradition, I mentioned just two of them. But this is just influence, not justifications. So they are not reasons, but causes. So let me first make explicit what kind of causes, what kind of influence sources I have. Okay. And one is a Buddhistic idea of a true self. Maybe many of you should know about that. Buddhism is famous for no self theory, but just one of many theories of self in Buddhism. All this Buddhistic theory about self is a I don't know theory, whether self exists or not. Shakyamuni Buddha was asked. His answer, no answer. Don't waste time on that useless metaphysical question at all. So his first position is a sort of agnostic or neutral or anti-metaphysical position to the self. And the second self-theory is a no self-theory. And but third one is true self-theory. Okay, true self. No self-theory says that there's no self. Okay, you don't have to attach that because there's no such kind of thing at all. But true self-theory says quite opposite, at least it appears to be. There is a true self. And what is a true self? There are some important features of true self. Let me mention just three. One is not individualistic. That is wider than individual. How wide? I don't know. And some people have many different ideas, but important thing, that is not individualistic. That is transcendent individualistic. That's a very important character of true self. Second character, that is non-dual. True self exists or not. That kind of a duality question is shut up. So true self should be some sort of a non-dual character that cannot be, conceptualized in a discriminative way. So non-duality is a second important character of true self. Third, embodiedness. True self is always embodied, always connected with body, our flesh body. Okay. So no true self that is floating in air. Okay. Always embedded in the body. That is third characters. So anyway, so the true self maybe started from some ancient Indian traditions that was brought to the China or Sinospheres and flourished there, and then Buddhist monks took that, okay, and brought to Japan finally. And that also the Dogen's idea, maybe we mentioned that in the later book first. And that was brought into Meiji Japan philosophical scenes. And the very idea, true self, very word, shinnaru jiko. That's Meiji Japanese. Okay, there's no such kind of, words before. Before that, okay, shinjin, shinga, that's Chinese. And so Meiji new word is shinnaru jiko. That's a mixture of this East Asian tradition of a true self and some Western ideas, Hegelian self, Schelling's self. Okay, so result is a shinnaru jiko idea. And Nishida Kitaro took that word from the very beginning to the end. So that becomes a key word for the entire Kyoto School. That is my theory about Kyoto School. What is a Kyoto School? Kyoto School is a school of true self. Right. Okay, so here's a sort of a lineage. The Nishida, coined many different, strange ideas from pure experience, Basho, and many others. And in my view, those all Nishida's keywords is his, conceptual rephrasal of East Asian true self at each stage of his philosophical development. That can be said to Tanabe or Nishitani or any other members of a Kyoto School, right? So that is our lineage of that. And so my self as we, I mentioned that briefly, that is on this line. So 3 characters. That is also shared by my self as we first, not individualistic, because that is we. And that is non-dual, and that is embodied. So obviously, self as we is on this line. And the second East Asian, now 20 minutes. This one is, I called holy fool. According to this, foolishness, that is the intellectual incapability. And in the standard idea, that's a bad thing. We should be wise rather than fool. But according to this tradition, everything is upside down. Foolishness is good. You are a fool. Okay, congratulations. Something like that. And that is also Taoistic ideas, and that was introduced to them. And we have some modern answer to that from the Miyazawa Kenji's Degu Nobo. Degu Nobo means something foolish. But Kenji Miyazawa, famous poet, want to be Degu Nobo. Right. And this idea was introduced to my 2 of the very basic assumption for entire we term. That is assumption of incapability. So let me start with that. So there are many assumptions in this philosophical system, and 2 of them is the most important. So those 2 are about incapabilities. I claim that is a fundamental for all human beings. You and me cannot escape from that. Of course, human being has many, fundamental incapability. We cannot fly the air like birds. We cannot, live eternally. And here is another very important, fundamental, inescapable incapability all of you should have. 1, incapability of single action. So you and I, every single person cannot do anything alone. Okay. So that means there is, strictly speaking, no such a thing as a single actions. We usually divide the action into 2 categories. One is a single action, singer solo, running, and collective action, doing orchestra, chorus, and playing football. But for me, this distinction is just superficial. Every single action, like my talking to you, is with action. Because no one can do any somatic action alone, without help or fault of many agents in the world. So every action is a we action, collective action in the broad sense. That is a basic claim I called first incapability thesis. And the second incapability thesis is also very important. So many actions are supported by many agents in the world, my friends, and some environmental things. And I cannot fully control any single of those factors. They are indispensable for my doing something. I cannot control even my son. I cannot control fully even my dogs. I cannot control, of course, each of you. I cannot control any computer. Computers sometimes break down. Such kind of thing. That is a basic fact, and basic incapability from which we cannot escape. Okay. So that's the very basic, assumption of entire we-term system. Okay. Let me, yes. And this is a quite big consequences for many things. One consequence is for the human beings. So this is a sort of modern idea. At least we can, something important alone. We should decide my, life big event alone. We can hear many other voices, but finally, you should decide your own stuff. That's the basic idea of autonomy, self-decision making. Okay, that is the most important virtue, Kantian virtue of a modern society virtues. But for me, that's just illusion. I cannot decide anything at all alone. Any of my decisions, consciously and unconsciously, are joint decisions. Okay, so everything should be rewrite. So we should rewrite the idea of autonomy. We should rewrite the idea of rights. We should rewrite the idea of freedoms. Okay, so this important, fundamental incapability assumptions has this kind of vast, consequences to change all colors of a modern society, modern virtues. Okay. And yes, so here's another new focus. So we are incapable, fundamentally incapable. And the most important incapability is the incapability of single action. But we do something from the morning to the night. At least something. We can do that every day in, day out. How? By we. As a member of we. So we can do many things. And I can do many things just with the help of other members of we. So if we look at this kind of fundamental incapability, that reveals very important fact. I am always a member of we. As far as I'm living and to do something, I'm not alone. Whenever I commit some somatic actions, I'm doing that as a member of a we. So there should be we for every single action. So we is inescapable. That means, but we are not alone. Always supported, afforded, some, multi-agent system. Otherwise, I cannot do anything at all. So this is incapability thesis. That sounds negative because that's incapable. But this incapability thesis has some sort of positive view. I'm always among many other members forming one single we. So this incapability, in this sense, opened to we-ness. Okay, so, and that is the basic. And if we take these two assumptions seriously, so entire system of we-term will naturally follow from those. And I don't have any time at all, so I should finish something here. But okay. So this yellow highlighted part is a part for the first we-term doer. And that requires just 3 assumptions, very small numbers. 3 is enough for me. And one is that I already explained to you, the most important incapability thesis, that is the incapability of single actions. I cannot do anything alone, but I do many things as a member of we. What is this we? Okay. That is, I call it multi-agent system. That is the system of many agents, some intentional agent, human beings, and non-intentional agent that just exercise just causal power, stone, for example. But those things should have one common feature. In effect, intentionally or unintentionally, each of those agents are necessary to support my action possible happens. Okay, so you are a very important, agent to make my talk possible. And these computers or microphones, also those, members. One single requirement to be the part of a member of a we that is inescapable, necessary agent for doing some somatic actions, and put together all of those necessary agents. Okay. The result is multi-agent system. That's a system of all necessary agents to make some somatic action possible happens. And it contains various sorts of agents, human beings, as I told you at the beginning, many other non-human animals, plants, inanimate natural objects, artifacts. Right. How many? I don't know. But there should be this kind of we anytime, right? So this multi-agent system, and only this multi-agent system is necessary and sufficient agent. Each of single agent within a we, that is necessary, but not sufficient. We need some more. And multi-agent system is all of those necessary agents. We don't need something else. All is inside we. That means this multi-agent system, and only this system, is a necessary and sufficient agent for making my bodily action possible. That's very important. And how we can call this? This is not I, because that has a plural stuff. Okay, that's not you. That's not they, because that should always contain I. And then this should be called we. Multi-agent system should be called or referred to as we. Right? Then second assumption, doer externalism. That's another very big assumption for the derivation of a first we term. According to this idea, okay, and doer, subject of some actions, should not be always aware of doing that. I am almost always aware of that. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm talking to you. I have thought about self-consciousness about that. That's okay. But in some other cases, we don't have to that kind of self-consciousness at all. Right? Some system, like, so there are many systems that exercise some causal effect, computer system, ecosystem. But some other system, like a multi-agent system, that by definition necessarily contain human beings. So one example is man-machine system. That's a sort of industrial technological idea developed in the 20th centuries. So that's the basis of a computer system and computer interface between a computer and the humans. And that's called, winner called that is cybernetics, man-machine symbiosis. So many words floating in the air that was built in the computer industry today. And some of those inventors of this idea man-machine system implicitly mentioned that who is thinking? Okay, not human, not computer, but system between them. That is a subject of thinking. That's a subject of data processing. That's a subject of searching the internet. That is idea. And here, as I call, and we can find doer externalism. Doer, subject of thinking or data processing, can be abstract entities, system. And the system doesn't have mind at all, doesn't have a consciousness at all. But that can be the subject of doing something. And let me adapt this kind of idea, implication. I call that doer externalism. Then we have enough assumption already on the table to derive first we term. Okay. Oh, that's Rick Ryder's. And he's the father of internet. And he mentioned man-machine, man-computer symbiosis. And in one of the very important sentences, he implicitly implied this kind of idea. Anyway. And the third assumption, yes, that's very, I think it's quite obvious to me at least. what is the subject of my actions? What is a doer? Only one. That is necessary and sufficient agent. Necessary agent is small, too small to be doer or subject of actions. Mere sufficient agent, too big. Precisely, only necessary and sufficient agent can be entitled as a subject of action, doer. Then we have a subject here, that is multi-agent system. That is, only and that system should be necessary and sufficient. So that is a subject or doer of every single actions. And system doesn't have mind, doesn't have consciousness. It cannot have a conscious, I'm doing that. That's okay as far as we take doer externalism. So putting these three assumptions together, so one natural consequence is, we turn. Yes. So what is the subject of our every single somatic actions? Talking to you, riding a bicycle, even thinking, decision making, that is not I, but we. That's a multi-agent system that inevitably include I. I still here. I not disappeared. Should be there. It's not reduced to we. I is essential, indispensable, very, very important member of we. Okay. So that is the first we turn, and many other we turn will follow with some, additional assumptions from this we turn of self, we turn doer. And the second we turn, let me finally mention that. That is a we turn of self. Okay. We need one more assumption for that second we turn. Assumption about what is a self. So many theories, many philosophers, Dogans, many other thinkers, classical, contemporary, East and West, given many different answers to what is a self. My answer, or answer of we turns, is very simple. Self is doer. Self is the subject of our somatic actions, bodily action. That was widely held by, say, cognitive science, for example, right? Then, if self is doer, now we have already obtained first we turn of doer, from I to we. Then, natural consequence is a we turn of self as doer, from I to we, from self as I to self as we. Okay. And this self as we has that three characters. So one character is obvious to you already. That is, not individualistic. That is beyond that. That is multi-agent system that includes me and many other things in the world. But that's not everything. Okay. There should be some boundary there. But how much boundaries, we don't know. But there should be boundaries. So we is not everyone. We is not all. But we is quite vast, larger than I. And two other characters, non-duality or embodiment, I don't have time to you to talk about that. But let me stop here. Thank you very much.